And right now we're going to chat with Butet Manurung herself, a very inspiring woman figure and today's heroine who fights for indigenous people's right to education. Let's greet Butet. Hi, good afternoon, Butet.
Hi, good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon. It's a
everyone.
pleasure to have you in the show
Thank you.
tonight. First of all, I must
Likewise.
ask, how do you feel as one of the female role models whose likeness was chosen um, to be made into Barbie dolls for this year's International Women's Day? I mean, wow.
Something
Speechless.
big.
There's always two sides of this.
Mhm.
So, of course, I feel honored and I feel this is an opportunity to represent Indonesian diversity and Indonesian traditional dress,
Yep.
and also opportunity to show that education is very important. Indigenous peoples are very unlikely to be appeared in the global discourse, yeah. But also I feel burdened because this also means responsibility and also respect. That means I have a big duty to show that women should have no limit to achieve their dreams. So I have to prove it myself first.
Yeah, and now we've mentioned Sokola Rimba a couple of times before this. For us here, or even for our viewers who might not be familiar with Sokola Rimba, can we talk about Sokola Rimba that you have founded? What drives your enthusiasm and consistency in educating indigenous people?
Yeah, so Sokola is an organization of volunteers who provide education, literacy, and advocacy for indigenous people and marginalized peoples in Indonesia. So what drives me is basically just adventures at the beginning, yeah. But then also I realized that Indonesia need anthropological thinking when we talk about inclusivity, especially when it comes to indigenous people, natural resources, environment, and so I keep struggling for this and fighting for this because I think this is important, and this is also my dream.
Right, with that.
Because I think when we support indigenous people, we support uh, the earth sustainability as well.
Wow, that's so profound. Butet, so it's been, if I'm not mistaken, it's been 18 years since Sokola Institute was founded, right? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
being said, how long have you been involved with traditional communities across Indonesia? And could you tell us about the scope of your work in the Institute?
Yeah, I've been involved since 1999, so 22, 23 years. And the scope of work is we've been reaching 17 schools across Indonesia, um, 15,000 people for literacy and advocacy impact, involve 100 volunteers. And the scope of work is, yeah, it's human rights, environment, kids, indigenous people, culture.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've mentioned before you've been as an activist and educator for more than 20 years. Obviously, you've achieved
Yeah.
so much, but I believe that you still have lots of dreams for Indonesian people, especially women. What are those dreams? Can you share with us, please?
Yeah, I think we have Kartini that I think it's a very good example. Yeah, when Kartini, when Kartini has no freedom of choices, has no access, has no rights as a woman to achieve her dream on education, especially, but she has freedom of thinking, and that's what I don't think we have in Indonesia at the moment. We have access, women have rights, but they not have freedom of thinking. They're still saying that, oh, it's not good, woman working in the jungle, or oh, my husband told me not to. My parents want me to work with the high salary. The things that uh, women build it themselves. So they don't think they can achieve because external factors. I want all the women to stop blaming on the external factors, stop excusing or being permissive. They have to focus on it. Having patience is the ability to endure the pain, to keep achieving your dream without blaming things outside of yourself. Something that you can actually control. So freedom of thinking, that's what I think is important. But also, as mentioned before, male feminists, we need more male feminists, but also all the policies in Indonesia need to be emphasize on that. Yeah, for example, like in Australia, when the partner, the woman giving a birth, the husband or the male partner have 3 months as well, like
Right.
cuti melahirkan, like
Yeah,
cuti to be a father for 3 months. So we need government policy also to support that. And so male feminists will come up too. So you cannot expect women to achieve their dream if male also not being involved.
like fatherhood
Exactly.
leave for
Yes.
3 months, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fatherhood leave.
Okay, you mentioned freedom of thinking. I love that. I think a lot of women still think about their surrounding too. Sometimes they don't get the support from their surrounding. Okay, but apart from your work
Yeah.
in the world of Indonesian education, we want to know, what is your take on emancipation?
Yeah, emancipation is, I think I mentioned before, like you have to stop being permissive on your surrounding.
Yeah.
You have to take control of your own life. And that's not about being same with men or being more or less. It's not about that. It's about yourself. And how can you be impactful to your surrounding while you also love what you do, because everyone has talent and mission given by God
Okay.
to be in this earth, right? Yeah.
Okay, so Butet, you previously mentioned that the freedom of thinking in Indonesia is still, constrained. And speaking of the role of women, especially in Indonesia, how would you describe it best?
The role of women
Yes.
in Indonesia. Okay. I think it's very good at the moment, but as I said before, I think women who also gain their dream is the one who have a freedom of thinking. While I think so many women out there that do not achieve their dream just because they are constrained themselves by their surrounding, something that they can actually, yeah, against that. So we see so many ministers at this era are women. Yeah, women achieve their professors and stuff, but more not achieve that, more still complaining about their work, more still complaining about, oh, I have children. Of course it's their responsibility, it really makes sense. They have to choose the responsibility over their dream. But I think it's not fair. Well, male can do it but female cannot do it, so we need more more support
Totally
from male
agree.
and from policy as well.
I totally agree. And can you share some words perhaps for the women who still feels unworthy of themselves to achieve things in life, to those who still don't have that freedom of thinking?
Still not have freedom of thinking.
Yeah, maybe some words of encouragement for them.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, I kind of already mentioned a bit, but maybe like we should imagine ourselves, we are 80 years old and laying down on the bed, and what will you regret?
Wow, that's a good one.
Mostly because something you don't do, not something you have done. So, yeah, so better be yourself now.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when you being yourself, you will have fruitful experience, and it should be meaningful to your surrounding. Definitely. You will not
Definitely.
regret it.
All right, last but not least, what's next for you? I mean, after being chosen as a role model for Barbie dolls, I mean, what's next for you? And I kind of want to know, do you agree when people call you the Indonesian Indiana Jones?
Yes, I do. He is my idol.
So what's next for you?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm doing my PhD study now. So I'm in Amsterdam at the moment.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm really dreaming of that one day I can be more meaningful to Indonesian policy on education, on Indonesian diversity, indigenous people, environment. And I also dreaming of can be a lecture to teach about activism, being a very impactful volunteers. I have a big concern on the young people. So I want them to be a volunteers that is impactful but also sensitive to the local values, culture, and environment. I want also Sokola, my organization, to be a reference. Of course, need to be learned to change things. But my dream is Sokola can be a reference for Indonesia policy when it comes to the education for marginalized people, even in the education for general,
Ms.
and maybe
Manurung.
in the world.
All right, Ms. Manurung, thank you so much for your time, and it's a pleasure to have you on
Thank
our
you.
show. Thank you for your time once again.